Hello, grade sixes. Welcome to another IS lesson on ancient China. I know I'm sorry I'm gone again. It's another day to have a video lesson, but at least this time I'm promoting our school, so hopefully we get more kids to join you next year in class. For right now, please hit pause on the video, answer these questions, and be ready to submit these in the Dropbox and manage back when you are finished. Hit pause and then hit play when you're finished. Okay. With these questions, I would like you to have the answers ready for when we have class in person on Monday, and we will go over them again there. Starting today, we will be talking about the Silk Road. Silk Road is a very important part of ancient Chinese history, and it's important that we study it or give you a base knowledge of what it is so that when you do your inquiry and your own project, you will have a better understanding of what it is, and maybe this will be the path that your research takes you or your interests go. So today it's going to be very simple. In your notes, I want you to put down who, what, when, where, why, how. We're going to answer all those questions about the Silk Road. I think in that order. I hope in that order. Can't quite remember, but pause the video if you need to. Write those down so that you are ready to rumble as we go to the next slide. So where? This is a map of Asia. The Silk Road was not one path. It was not one road paved with gold going from China to the Middle East and then to Europe. It was a combination of roads. And so there was parts that were by water. They would float the boats, including, you can see that Indonesia was a part of it. Indonesia has actually multiple steps along the Silk Road. And why it's called the Silk Road is because it was most famously known for the silk transportation from China and the silk factories there to the Middle East through Jerusalem, and then from there on to Europe. And so there's a lot of different routes that take here. What you see on the map is just um, the uh, the generalization of what it would look like. It's not just one path. There's many different paths going all the way from China through India, Persia, Arabia, Egypt, and into Europe and Rome, as it is the trading of fine goods and spices. When? So the Silk Road began in the year 2007 BC and extended, well, it's kind of going now. China's trying to rebuild it, to an extent, but the effects of it, the impact of it is still seen today as we see a lot of global trade from China throughout the Middle East, different products and things going and flowing. But it really started before Jesus as people were expanding, understanding more of the world around them, and wanting these goods and these wonderful things out of China. And so they would start to trade, and ideas went across. Why or when this happened, there's specific things that always happen when there's a great trade around the world, and we can study that later in IS. But one of them is stability. Okay, strong governments that allow for trade and safe trade to happen across their own country and across borders, and that's what was beginning to happen in the year 2007 BC. And so the Han Dynasty expanded throughout Central Asia. They were a dynasty of expansion, and part of it, one of the benefits of that was the farther their impact, the farther their protection, the farther they could protect goods as they went along the roads and routes and um, went from China to the rest of the world. The greatest and the safest part of this process was during and I'll move myself, um, the Shanghai dynasty. It was the great interest, safe to the products, everything. The Great Wall of China was built, and it ensured part of the trade route would be safe. That Great Wall that we learned about, we'll learn a little bit more about it today. But it just ensured the protection of the trade route. It gave stability. It gave really the effect of just confidence in the markets and in people's ability to go there. I'm not sure why that's gone down there, but I'll let you know what it says. It was not always open, so it wasn't something that like, oh, they paved the road. It wasn't a paved road, but it was just open for business all the time. During different periods of conflict, different events, either through the loss of protection. There's different parts of the Silk Road that um, were captured, that were maybe fell under to like hostile countries were along the side stealing it. We have pirates on the water. We have robbers along the road. Those kinds of things cause the Silk Road to open and close at different times. However, um, for you right now, make sure you put into your timeline. It started in 2007 BC. However, it was captured by the Tibetans in 628, and then in 699 it was opened again through the Empress Wu's period, which was part of the Tang Dynasty recapture. Basically, there's a lot of times where as open as closed, and basically it is an example of the golden era of China at that time under different leadership. What was it? It was a trade route from the eastern part of Asia to the west, the connection of two worlds. Really, the world at the time, the real world at that time. There's a lot of things going on, even in the Americas or Australia or Africa, but they weren't really a part of the Silk Road so much, maybe providing slaves in Africa's case. But it is this connection. So a bunch of different trade routes. Somebody with a camel, right, meeting somebody halfway, picking up their goods, taking it to the next person. It connected the world with ideas. It connected them with goods. It connected them with philosophies, religions, different things like that. And so ideas and cultures began to spread, and the wealth began to be distributed as there was, like I said, middlemen. The best way I can describe the Silk Road is you kind of like you ordering some McDonald's, okay, and instead of just one Grab driver taking it from McDonald's to your house or one Gojek, right, it's got to make 10 stops along the way. So one Gojek picks it up from McDonald's, takes it to the parking lot to another Gojek. That guy from Gojek makes a little bit. The next guy who takes it all the way to the stop sign, right, he makes a little bit. He brings it to the next Gojek who brings it down the road and around the corner to the next Gojek, and it's just all these different people along the way who are delivering goods, taking it, and so everybody makes a little bit of money. The silk goes from point A to point B. As that's happening, the cost of the silk keeps going up, and really wealth is distributed, but there's a whole bunch of middlemen. Remember Gojek, and you will remember the Silk Road. It's very similar to that. It was great. Who was involved? It was not just the Chinese and the Romans, but there's many, the Arabians, the Indians, Somalis. Well, you can write the list on your own, but it wasn't just two countries trading with each other and they sailed boats back and forth like it is now. What it was every country along the way. Different people played a different part in it. There's a lot of different types of merchant ships, like basically these tribes that would move along with their camels or horses or whatever through what we would call like Mongolia and the Middle East, and delivering goods. That's what they did. That was their livelihood. Going a little too long here. So why the Silk Roads? So as this is happening, there's a time under the Roman rule. It's called Pax Romana, and what it meant was it was Roman peace, and it brought stability. Romans were great at building infrastructure, and so they built infrastructure and could protect it, which allowed trade, which allowed more trade, which allowed more wealth to flow. And so as kings are wealthier, they can provide more stability. Their reach of the powerful man goes a little bit farther when there's more money in his pocket. And so kingdoms become more stable. The Roman Empire is growing and it's protecting its trade routes. One of the first times in history where trade routes were protected by a government or a governing power. And there's also this thing called supply and demand, right? There's a whole bunch of people in Rome that are rich. They want the good stuff from China, and they're willing to pay for it. So the people in China, like, this person wants to pay for it, I'll figure out a way to get it to you. And so Supply meets demand. We find a market, and here comes the silk down the Silk Road. It was quite the process. Silk could be on this trade route for a very long time, years, even going from China to Central America, sometime or not Central America, Jerusalem, and then to Europe. They would try to trade not during winter, but sometimes they get stuck. It wasn't just silk either. China is also known, and India is known for their spices. Indonesia is known for its spices, and so that's the role it played. It wasn't just silk. It was spices, it was wood, it was materials, it was inventions. China had a lot of inventions, and there's people who love the adventure. So, with the combination of supply, demand, stability, money, strong governments, and adventure, and people wanting satay, right? You get this Silk Road. Continuing on, how? Um, so the Silk Road, and I already talked about this as it being like Gojek, but basically there's these nomads, these merchants, these tribes people, and they would go from place to place, bringing it from one person to the next, and they had this route that they would do. It wasn't the whole distance; it was probably in the area where they spoke the language. They traded with another person who spoke the language along the next route, and it would go that way. So it was hundreds of people possibly interacting with these goods as it went from one place to the next. And so that's why it's like Gojek just on steroids. It would take it all the way from China to Rome, and it just one at a time, going the hustle, the bustle. Um, it was never just one thing. It was never just camels. It was never just horses. It was oftentimes boats. There's places where they would float the boat into the Gulf of the Persian Gulf, and then up into the Red Sea, and then from there they would unload it, walk it over to the Nile River, float it down the Nile into the Mediterranean Sea, where they would bring it to the other ports and trade with the different Greek city-states there, or Roman cities, I guess, at that point. Um, but it was a combination of a whole bunch. There's elephants. It was just a lot of buying, selling, trading. With this, people would be going from place to place. And so Mr. Chris comes from Canada, right? I bring you the idea of snow, right? And strawberry marshmallows. When I come here, you guys bring to me the idea of beach vacations, coconuts, palm, right? Palm trees, and this wonderful thing. Ideas share. What we think is good in Canada, we share with you. You what you think is good in Indonesia, you share with us, and so we start to take on more of the world. And so they have learned lots. The Silk Road is really what is responsible for bringing Islam to Indonesia at the time, and it was through the Silk Road that it came so quickly and covered so much, to which now it is the dominant religion in Indonesia. Up to 90% of Indonesians are Muslim. Okay, we're going to go back. That is the part of our lesson that is on the Silk Road. I'm going to finish, I'm going to upload this video and then get to you the simple explanation for how the logic behind making a great wall. Hope you like it. See you next time.